Hello, everybody. It's good to see everybody here. We are going live in our podcast on Grants and Government Contracting podcast here. Good to see you, Lainey.
Good to see you, Abe. How have you been?
Well, I've been playing pickleball a lot lately, and so I've got carpal tunnel a little bit on my wrist. So I need to, I'm glad that it's rainy so that I can take a little break from pickleball.
Yeah, icing all your limbs and getting back ready. I think what we need to do is host a GCA pickleball tournament. Have everybody come out, and I think it would be a hit.
Well, if you're joining us and you are a pickleball player, let us know. Leave some comments below. If you're joining us live, let us know that you're a pickleball player or you want to learn pickleball. Uh, you know, Pickleball is for me, it's staying active, and so that's really why I do pickleball. But if you are into pickleball, that'll be fun. Now, if you're joining us live and you're like, "Hey, is this a pickleball show?" No, it's not the pickleball show. This is the Grants and Government Contract podcast. And today we're going to be talking about how to start or scale your government contracting business. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Lots of great content to share with all of you who are joining us. If you're joining us live, give us your company name and where you're joining us from in the chat area. That would be awesome. But we're going to be talking about a lot of good stuff today. And you do not want to miss what we're about to share with you today, because these are the key uh, techniques and strategies that you must have in your business to succeed in the government contracting marketplace. So lots of fun stuff to talk about today.
Yeah, I'm super excited. And I can't wait for you to. I know there's some new stuff going on, so I'm really excited for those announcements and for everybody to learn a little bit. I think we're going to be teaching some things that are out of the box, some things that aren't necessarily taught all the time or talked about with government contracting, and we want to be able to bring you those ideas and starting your government contracting business. I know that Abe has helped with a lot of businesses and stuff, and he actually helped me scale my government contracting business, and that's how I first met Abe. As I went through the CCM course with GCA, and was able to complete that and then started my government contracting journey. So I'm excited to see what we learned today, and let's get into it.
Sure. Well, that's a great point, Delaney. Let me share a little bit why I do what I do here and what makes me, an advocate for small businesses. So I've been a lifelong entrepreneur. I've started multiple companies. I've sold two businesses, and so in that journey, I've learned a lot about business in general. I've had a office furniture company. I've had a eBay business when I was young. I've had a real estate investment construction company. Lots of different things I've done. But I discovered government contracting in 2007, fell in love with the industry and got into it, started doing some consulting work in the government space, became really good at it. But I kept on running to a lot of small business that just didn't know how to succeed in the government market. They kept on asking me, "Hey, how do I do this? How do I do that?" And I kept on telling them, "Go to the SBA, go to the Accelerate, go to all these different places." They kept on saying, "I've been there, I've done that. I'm still confused." So in 2010, I left consulting, started the Government Contractors Association. And through GCA, we have trained over 15, I think
Wow.
at the end of 2024, over 16,000 companies. And we've helped businesses win, in terms of IDIQ contracts, probably over $250 billion in terms of IDIQ. But in terms of actual revenue that has come into those companies, 2 billion plus in terms of revenue that's coming to those companies. So I love what I do here, Lainey. We get a chance to really encourage and support the small business community, helping empower them so they can be successful in the government contracting marketplace. So today we're going to be talking about how to start and scale your government contracting business. So that's our topic today. And we're going to talk about 15 techniques that will help you to break through in the government contracting marketplace. And so with that there, we're going to go ahead and dive in. And if you're joining us, give us your company name and where you're joining us from. That would be awesome. Be great to have you guys share a little about that. It gives us a little bit of perspective of who's joining us here. So thank you for doing that there.
Yeah, and Abe, I wanted you, before we dive into this, if you could give a little bit of an overview of some of the ways that you've seen the government contracting business change so much, because I mean, we've talked about administrations. I don't necessarily mean that, but just as you go on, one of the craziest things I think is now we're so into streaming and Zoom calls. When you first started, you went and had meetings with contracting officers, which is a insane thought to me. Like, I would be so nerve-wracking if I had to walk into there and present to them. So some
Mhm.
ways that you've really seen big changes throughout your time in the government contracting.
Absolutely. The In 2007, the WSB program was just started to have its early footings, right? And so at that time, mainly it's the 80 program. STVSB, HubZone were slightly used. Women-owned businesses were only winning 1.8% of contracting dollars. So some of that have changed and evolved over time, from 2007 all the way to 2025 here. So certification programs, a lot of those things have changed over the set aside programs. Sole source have evolved. Back then, sole source was mainly done through 8A, the 8A certification program. Now it's a little bit broader in terms of scope. So some of those things, I've seen those changes in terms of how you build relationships have changed quite a bit also. Back then in the days, we call it walking the halls. People
Yeah.
were contracting officers, program managers, they go into the office. And so you go and meet with somebody that's managing. Let's assume you went into the Department of Forestry, the contracting officers that's handling those contracts, and you're talking to that person. But then you can just say, hey, who else in your in your office handles this type of work or other type of work? And they just say, yeah, let me introduce you to Billy Bob or Susie Smith or whoever it is. Or you can just walk down the hall, you see people, you just meet, talk, they're talk at the water cooler and just have conversations. That's just normal back in the days. Today's those things have changed quite a bit, and you build relationship very differently nowadays, and you have to
Yeah.
engage people through streaming and through Zoom and through Google Meet and other methods now. And contractor officers aren't always available to meet with you. So, so lots of changes in that regard. But as it relates to, and some of these things are positive, some of these things, and so you just have to evolve over time. And so that's kind
Yeah.
of my thoughts in terms of how things have shifted. Uh, Things will always change, but here's the biggest change I've seen. And this change is actually good. Every year from 2007, since I've been doing this here, all the way to 2025, federal spending, contracting have gone up almost every single year. Um, Back then, it was about 350, $400 billion in terms of what they're spending. Now we are spending about last year, 2024, the government federal market awarded over $750 billion of government contracts. So the market has
Wow.
expanded. The market has continued to grow. So all this is good. Not great fiscally in terms of our national debt,
Yeah.
but great in terms of being a business owner to go after some of these contract opportunities. And that's what today's all about: is how to go after some of these opportunities for your businesses.
Yes, so let's get started. Thank you all. If you're just joining us, make sure to put in, where you're joining us from, what your company is, and we're excited to learn more about government contracting.
And if you are just joining us, we are talking about how to start and scale your government contracting business in 2025. Uh, Lots and lots of different techniques to share. We're going to share with you 15 techniques, 15 items that you must have for your business to succeed. And whether you're starting or whether you're scaling your business, these 15 items here are true. You must have that there. And if you don't have it, your chance of success is being very, very limited. So let's dive on in. And what we're going to do is, obviously we cannot cover all 15 items in great
Yeah.
detail. We will talk through all 15, and then we're going to focus on three core areas and give you some really dive deep content related to those three areas there. So first item is these 15 items, 15 ways to break through in the government market and to scale your business. This is first one is capability statement. And the government does not use brochures, right? They use capability statements. Lainey, what have you discovered around capability statements as for your own company?
Yeah, so one place that I love using a capability statement is on Canva. So I know some people have probably heard about Canva. It's kind of a design website. It's free for members to use, and we actually have a template for a Canva capability statement. So I will put that template in the chat so you can, if you haven't started on your capability statement, it's an easy way where we've already laid it out and you're really just filling in your information. So it's something that it's a marketing tool for you to give to them, and you really wanted to showcase, what your business does, who your business is, and you wanted to highlight you, but you also wanted to stand out. You don't want it to be boring. You want to have some colors, some fun photos. So I will put that link in the chat.
And if you're joining us live, we've got a lot of goodies to give to you. So, we're going to share some templates, some resources as we go through this here. So stick around. You'll continue to get a lot of goodies here. If you're watching this here live, you'll get it live. If you're watching this a replay, you have to go to the community to get some of this goodies here. So, all right. So first is your capability statement, which is really just, I look at it as your business resume. Your business resume is what you send to contracting officers or program managers or large primes that you're engaging with. You send your capability statement. The second item is you need to how to identify your industry NAICS codes or your industry codes. Now, NAICS codes is for federal contracting work. Some state and city uses NAICS code. NIGP codes is mainly used for state contracting purposes. PSC codes is federal, and then there's commodity codes. Some local agencies, some state agencies have their own commodity codes. And so you have to know how to identify these codes here and track these codes and list them as part of your marketing along with your marketing documents. Another item you need is your capability video. Now, capability video, for some of you who are younger, you may not remember back in the days, but for some of us who's a little bit more mature, we remember back in the days where there's Rolodex, right? Some of you like, what's a Rolodex? Lainey, you probably don't know what a Rolodex is, but some of us
I do. We've talked about this, and I do remember what a Rolodex is. So.
So along the way, right, in life, things always evolve and change. And back in 2012, I think 2012 is the year where people access the internet more from their cell phone than from a laptop or desktop. Well, what does that mean? That means that the real estate of a cell phone is really small. And so instead of only sending your capability statement, you send your capability video and they just hit play. So it's a better marketing tool. Now you need both, but it's a better marketing tool than just a capability statement. So we're going to do a deep dive in. I'm going to share with you some samples in a second, and I'm going to give you a script of how to create your capability video. So that's one area we're going to dive deep in. So I'm going to continue with the other items that you'll need. Capability brief. Now, some of you are thinking like, what is a capability brief? In essence, it is your PowerPoint presentation. And you create your capability statement, then you turn it into a PowerPoint video. You also turn it into a PowerPoint presentation. Your PowerPoint presentation is when a contracting officer, or assuming you're working with a small business specialist, and they say, hey, I want to set up a meeting between you and one of our program manager. So in that situation, you're going to meet with a program manager. Well, you don't just want to go and just wing it, right? You create a PowerPoint presentation. If you're meeting in person, you print it out and you also email it to the small business specialist or whoever is setting up the meeting with you. If it's in person, and you send it to them, they have to run it, make sure that there's no virus or anything like that there before they actually use it. Now you could take a jump drive, but nowadays emailing your PowerPoint is a lot easier, so the virus protection can scan through it. You can take a jump drive, but they may not allow you to stick a jump drive into a government facility power laptop. And so it just depends in who you're meeting with.
Yeah.
In that situation, when you're meeting with them, they usually give you about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes to do a quick PowerPoint presentation to the team there. They might have a program manager, maybe a department head, and then the small business specialist, and you're presenting to them. So that's your capability brief itself. But your PowerPoint is what you use for the capability briefing.
Have you ever went and done a capability brief?
I've done it online, but not in person. But I've sent many of our companies to do it.
Yeah.
I'll share this quick story. Somebody was interested in learning more about what we did to help small businesses. And so the agency said, hey, why don't, I'm going to gather about 5 or 6 of our people so that you can share how you help the small business community. Maybe there's some ways of how the agency and GCA can work together. So that's kind of what we did. It was a capability briefing about what GCA can do to help small businesses. And that was the capability briefing that I did.
Yeah, so I actually got to go to a capability briefing in Tampa. It was in person, and it was very nerve-wracking, I will say the least. It was, I don't know if we would necessarily call it, they didn't call it a capability briefing, but that's what it was. We had slides, we were presenting what we could do, and they actually provided us lunch. So we got fed lunch. We're in a, we were in a room with a bunch of people, and there was times for questions, and it was a very nerve-wracking thing because we flew in to go to this briefing, and then once we got there, just making sure we're at the right building, you have to go through security, you have to go through all of that stuff. So by the time you walk into the room to do your capability briefing, you're like, okay, we can do this. Like, it's already been a day before, but it was a really cool experience to get to do it in person versus PowerPoint, because I think sometimes you lose the personal aspect of it when it's online.
How long was your total meeting?
We had an hour. So we had the whole lunch hour, and we kind of met when we first got there. We were kind of interacting with everybody, trying to create some common ground with a lot of them. I was the only woman in the room, so that was interesting as well. I'm with government contracting in the construction industry, so that seems to be a lot of the times what it is. And then we presented about our presentation. Looking back on it, I think it was a little bit too long. I would have liked to have it about 20 minutes. I think you lose people. Ours was about 30 minutes because of what we were presenting. It was we had to present some engineering pieces and stuff like that. And then we had times for questions and everything. I will say this, that some of the people just left early. It was, if they got called away, whatever it was, they just left, which it was their lunch break. So they were, and it was a Friday too. So I think moving forward, maybe trying to schedule it not on a Friday. I feel like that was and there was something, the talk the whole time we were there, they were having a big event in Tampa that weekend. It was almost like they explained it like Mardi Gras, but for Tampa. So I think that was on everybody's mind, is they wanted to get out in the streets and go to the parade and all of that kind of stuff. They didn't necessarily want to have a PowerPoint in front of them, but it was really interesting. And I'm glad I had that opportunity to go down there.
Anytime you get a chance to build a relationship and connect with people, especially look somebody in the face and in the eyes, and we are people, right? We are humans. We need interaction. We need connectivity. We're not an AI robot, and so AI will never replace people. People who know AI will replace you if you don't know AI, right? But AI robots itself, or AI agents itself, would never replace people. Now they may help you to be more efficient, but we're going to talk about AI technologies in another episode, so stay tuned. All right, so let's continue here. You need a capability website, and your website needs to speak to government buyers. We have a full class on how to do, and how to build our capability website itself. really, in essence, is your capability statement. Take your capability video, your capability PowerPoint, and embed it into your website so that it speaks to government buyers. And a lot more goes into it, but that's a high level. You also need to create your Dream 100. Now, some of you are like, "Hey, what's your Dream 100? What is a Dream 100?" Back in the days, there was a sales expert. His name was Chet Holmes, and he has since passed. But Chet was one of the top sales person really in terms of all sales and enterprise sales. And I learned this technique from him, and he calls it the Dream 100. And in your Dream 100, you identify the main 100 relationships and main client that you want to build, and you just focus on that. It doesn't matter if you are there's thousands and thousands of agencies, right? You're talking about 90,000 agencies out there, one federal, hundreds, over 400 sub agencies, 50
Yeah.
states, over 3,000 counties, over 35,000 cities and township, and another 40,000 government agencies and county school system, university system. So you're talking about over 90,000 procurement agencies purchasing from you. You can't focus on all of that. You will not have enough time to foster and build all those relationships. So the Dream 100 is you focus on 100 only and build strong relationships with those 100 target. And he uses a technique called he makes his list, and then every week, same time, he makes a phone call. For him, he uses phone call. So for some of you, it may be a phone call plus an email, or it may be a few other social touches and things like that you can do. But for him, he will make a phone call. And so he would call the CEO every single Wednesday. If it's 10 a.m., every Wednesday at 10 a.m., he would call that CEO, and he would get the receptionist, and the receptionist said, "Oh, the CEO is busy," or whatever the reason is, the CEO would not talk to him. And so with this one CEO, he called the CEO 1 year. After
Wow.
52 phone calls, he stopped calling. Because every time he called, he would say, "Hey, I'm please leave a message to the CEO. What I do is I help increase 10% revenue for your company using the techniques that I will come and teach you guys." So that's kind of
Yeah.
his sales pitch. And the CEO would, just never call him back. So after 1 year, he stops calling. He replaces that with another person on the Dream 100. And so the CEO said, "Hey, who's that crazy guy? What's his name again?" The receptionist said, "Oh, his name is Chet. He didn't call me this Wednesday. Why didn't he call me this Wednesday?" Right? It becomes a running joke that every Wednesday he gets a phone call at 10 a.m. and 52 messages, he hasn't returned the phone call. So the CEO said, "I didn't hear from him today. Give that guy a call. Let me see what he wants." And so the CEO calls him up, and he gives his sales pitch. He says, "I guarantee you that you implement the techniques I'm going to teach you, your business revenue will grow by 10%. And the CEO said, "Okay, sign me up." So, and really the principle he's teaching is the Dream 100, the same technique he's using on the CEO. That's the principle he teaches in just how to be effective. So we borrow that principle and we teach you how to identify your Dream 100 in the government market and how to scale your business using the Dream 100 technique. Next item, vendor registration. This is where you just have to be registered as a vendor to do government work at federal, state, county, cities, and with large enterprise organization. And then you pursue small business certifications. So obviously, everybody, if you don't qualify for any small business certification, you can team with other small businesses that have certification. Certifications open doors for you. The other item, right? You need to have small business certification, which we talk about marketing campaigns. You need to have a marketing campaign. Your email has to speak to government buyers. You created your Dream 100. What do you say in your email, right? Your email techniques is very specific. You can't just do a traditional email because that's not good enough in the government market. And so there's actually templates and there's different ways of what you should say Using AI to draft an email to a contracting officer probably won't cut it. And so there's specific things that you want to do as it relates to your marketing campaign and your social touches and your your engagement to these contracting professionals. Now, Lainey, what do you think I mean by social touches? What's your thoughts on that?
So, first off, I think I already know I know the answers to what you're moving into, but getting if you're sending an email to somebody, match with them on LinkedIn. Go maybe follow them if your business has an Instagram or a Facebook. That's different ways of social touches. I love this story. I don't know if you want to tell it of the I can't remember what he commented, of the guy that commented on a LinkedIn post and then the contracting officer ended up calling him back.
Yeah, well, actually, a retired general. In fact, this is a very important, I'm going to share with you guys a real story, right, in terms of social touches. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to pull up. I was teaching a class on how to build relationships. And so Marcus, this is Marcus here. He was in one of our classes. And I said, Marcus, yes, you want to do email. Yes, you want to put, if you have the capabilities and the time, make phone calls. All these different things are important. The average person makes a buying decision after about 7 touches, right? 7 engagement. Whether you're making phone call, connecting with them in any different media is fine. And I said, but this technique I'm about to share with you here, very few people use this technique because everybody just do a lot of cold emails. And that's not always the most effective. Now, every now and then it could be effective. The technique that we teach in our classes about email marketing, we actually get about a 30 to 35% open rate and on a cold email. So we have an upcoming class. I'm going to share with you a little bit about that. And so if you want to learn about all these different techniques, I'm going to share with you how to join one of our upcoming class. But this is one of the techniques I was teaching in class. And I said, the social touch technique, very few people use. And so I was telling Mark, I said, when you go to, if you identify someone on your Dream 100, you just go on social media, and whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's on Facebook, it doesn't matter where, and you find that person and you engage them at what they're interested in. You do not pitch your services. You do not pitch teaming. You do not pitch it. You just go and engage them at the level of what they're interested in. So I'm gonna give you guys a real example. So assuming that I didn't know Marcus and I'm building a relationship with Marcus. So I would come in here and I would come into all the things that he's interested in, right? So he's interested in all these different things here. Marcus recently posted on LinkedIn. So I'm gonna go to one of his posts. Go into one of the things that he's interested in. So let me go to here. Why am I? Oh, come on. I don't. Okay, there's another way. Did they change it to I can't see his posts or his comments?
Keep scrolling down, and I think you should be able to see what he's
doing. Under his activities. Yeah. So I can go into his activities. I can see all his activities here. And I can come in here and Marcus, daily cyber threat briefing, AI generated. And I hit like, and I would just put in here interesting. Now I do want to look at it, because you don't want to say interesting if you haven't looked at it. So you want to really engage them. So I look at this and then I put interesting and then I comment. That's it. This is a social touch. So I was teaching this technique, and Marcus was using this technique. He found there was a retired admiral that was in cybersecurity. So Marcus reached out to this person, or not reached out, but Marcus found in a post that this guy was talking about. He made a post talking about cybersecurity, and Marcus went in and Marcus put in the word cool, COOL exclamation point. And the retired admiral clicked on, like when I make this post here, right? He's going to see who made this post. He's going to say, oh, who is this guy? Who is this Abraham guy? Now, I've known Marcus for many years. So, but if I didn't know him, he's going to say, who is this guy that made a comment in here? And so the admiral clicked on his profile, saw that Marcus is in cybersecurity as well, connected with him on LinkedIn, direct message him and say, hey, I'm bidding on $100 million project, and will you team with me on this $100 million project?
Wow.
So one word, the word cool, exclamation point, got him on a teaming opportunity on $100 million project. So yes, social touches are very important. But let's continue. Let's continue to come back and talk about, because we got more topics to talk about. So let me come back and go into. So we talk about marketing campaigns, right? Now you need to have a capture team, and your capture team are your government contracting department. Your capture team is made up of your sales person. We call it capture manager, right? Is made up of your proposal writer, is made up of your pricing strategist, your pricing cost estimator, maybe your project manager, anyone that is part of what you need to win and fulfill a contract. That's part of your capture team. And so you need these different people. If you lack these different people, your chances of succeeding is very slim. So again, today we're not going to talk about the detail of your capture team. We'll do that. We've got classes that goes into all those detail there. But I want to give you the 15 techniques, 15 ways how to break through in the government market and how to scale. Next item is opportunity sourcing. You got to know how to find opportunities, right? And you got to know the tools, all the different tools out there. You can use SAM.gov, which, yes, you should use that. You can also use FedBid, which is called Unison Global now. So those are tools. You can also use iSearch, which is a taxpayer portal. Lots of different tools out there. And you can use paid services, right? GovGenie.com is a great paid services that we develop. There's also HireGov, there is GovWin, there's BGov, there's lots and lots of different bid matching tools out there. And so use those tools to help you. Pricing strategy. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about pricing strategy in a second. 40% of federal projects are what's called LPTA. And Lainey, I know it's been a minute since you graduated from the program now, but do you remember what LPTA is?
Is it
pricing?
Low price. I don't know what TA is.
Lowest priced, technically acceptable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, LPTA. So and just like me too, I'm always learning, right? I'm always refreshing what I know about the government market, because you can, sometimes it's a foreign language. We call it Governese. And so all of you who are hanging out with us here live and you're watching this on replay, you're learning how to speak Governese. And just because you learned the word once doesn't mean that it's stays with you. So you have to refresh it. So this is me refreshing Lainey's vocabulary, Governese a little bit here.
It's also information overload. When you go through the class, even when I'm on a lot of the classes anyway, it's a lot. You're getting 2 hours worth of information, and you pick certain parts that, really stick with you. And then, like you're saying, you have to constantly refresh your memory on everything that's going on. So.
Me kuka source contract me chante that ku itu contracting officer me chante ku munya to me mo to me. Right? Anybody understand what I just said?
A few words.
A few words in there, because I just spoke my native language, which is Hmong. I'm from a small little country called Laos. Now the Hmong people are the indigenous people of Southeast Asia, really all over Asia. We're in China, in Burma, Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, all over Southeast Asia. And so as the indigenous people, we have this is our ethnic tongue. And So if you want to learn a language, you have to immerse yourself into the culture. You have to immerse yourself into the everyday life. So that's really part of it, right? Is understanding how to speak Governese. And what I just said to all of you who's joining us here, I said, I am a contracting officer, and if you want to learn or if you want to get a sole source contract, raise your hand. I'm going to award you a sole source contract right now. And you didn't speak the language, so you didn't know to raise your hand, right? So there are real situations where that happens. So learning to speak Governese is important. Learning how to price is important because LPTA, lowest price technically acceptable, 40% of federal project is LPTA, 60% is best value, or what they call trade-off. And then if you're dealing with state, I would say probably 90% of state projects are lowest priced. Now, when you're dealing with counties and cities, I would say probably 95% of counties and cities and school system is lowest price. So if you want to bid lowest price and you feel like you can be the lowest price, then you can start at the local county city level. If you want to be best value, which is the most qualified or the best value for the government, then federal is usually allows you to make a little bit more profit that way.
Yeah.
But pricing is very important.
So I always say this. So for those of you just joining, or if you don't know who we are, so me and Abe, we work together, and this is our podcast on grants and contracts. And so I talk to Abe almost every single day, multiple times a day. And I always tell people, I think it's so funny when I learn something new or hear a new story because I feel like I know Abe pretty well, and he always surprises me with something new all the time. Like he'll tell me something, and I'm just like, how did I not know that? Or it's just a new story. He's a plethora of information. But that, Abe, is the first time I have ever heard you speak in your native tongue. I've never heard it before.
Yes, yes. Actually, my daughter just texted me. She was so excited. She said she's in college, and so my wife and I were empty nesters now. So, really, new exciting times for us. But my daughter texted me last night. My daughter said, "Dad, I just got an assignment, and I can actually get to use our native language." And so she's, "How do
Ooh.
you say this? How do you say that?" And I'm going to weave it into my presentation for college. So she was super excited about doing that. But yes,
Do
it's
they
uh-huh.
do they know Hmong pretty well?
My kids, no, they're
Oh.
they speak a few words. They know words like "it's time to eat," or they know how
The important ones.
to. Yeah, just the critical one. And so, yeah, but I didn't do a great job of acclimating them to the language. And in fact, the my native language, Hmong, Hmong, is actually one of the dying language. In
Mhm.
terms of ethnic language that is slowly disappearing. Most of us here in the United States will transition to English. Those who are in China or those in Vietnam or other place, they're uh, they're shifting to the local vernacular of the language of commerce in those communities, and so it's a culture that's slowly starting to disappear a little bit. So, and unfortunately, I'm contributing to that to that process there. So, yes, but pricing strategy. Let's get back on topic here. Pricing strategy. Learning to speak Governese and learning to do pricing is very important. Funding plan. You got to have a funding plan. And what I mean by funding plan, right? If you're bidding on $1 million project and you win, you need about 100,000 to 200,000 to mobilize. So when we say funding plan, I mean a line of credit, a mobilization capital. You need money to get started on the project before the government pays you. And we helped a company win a $1.1 million contract, and it was to renovate some apartment complex and turn it into corporate housing, or in this situation, military housing, in Birmingham, Alabama, because the government sends military personnel to Birmingham to do training and so forth. And every time they send someone, they have to go into different hotels, and the senior leadership, they always want to know where their soldiers are at. And so they wanted to convert some apartment complex into corporate housing. And so this company won a $1.1 million contract. They went to the apartment complex and said, hey, congratulations, we got the contract. Go ahead and start renovating and start furnishing all of the apartment units. And the apartment said, that's your contract. You need to give us $100,000 before we touch anything.
Wow.
And he didn't have $100,000. And so he almost lost the contract. But fortunately for him, we spoke Governese. And so we said, we pull up the FAR clauses. We said, this project here is not a construction project because it was more of a facilities asset management type of project. And so they didn't classify as a construction project. But we went back to the contractor office. We said, hey, there's construction involved in this project. And according to the FAR, there's allocation of construction for materials upfront to us. And so we used the FAR. We went to and they released some money. And so even though it was not a construction project, we used the FAR to get some funding so that he can save his project. So lucky for him. But, learning the language, what we said earlier, right? Understand rules, regulations, all that stuff is very important. But funding plan, you got to have a mobilization strategy for every project you bid on. If you're new, don't go bid on $1 million project. Start off with a $100,000 project because you need about 10 to 20% of the contract value to get started.
We have a question in the chat. So it is actually about GovGenie because I put the link to GovGenie. So it says, where do they take their sources from? ? SAM.gov. So why should someone pay for this tool when SAM.gov is free?
Why should you pay for restaurant food when you can go buy at the grocery store and cook at home yourself, right?
Yeah.
You invest in different tools to make your life easier. And so I'm going to answer that question by giving you a quick demo. So I've got GovGenie actually up here. So I'm going to come in here. This is Sidetrack. So I'm going to come and I'm going to put in, this is GovGenie here. I'm going to put in here construction 236220. Now, and so this is construction. I'm just going to click on this here. And if I'm looking, and the data is pulled directly from SAM.gov, and just like, but when you find a project in SAM.gov, here's a problem with that. You say, if you're on SAM.gov, you say, oh, let me go to SAM.gov and let me find a project. So you go to opportunities, you put in here 236220, and it pulls up these projects here, right? And so you look at the due date. Okay, so this one is due, the due date is on the 28th. So if you like this project, it's a design build. You like this project, well, what's next for this project? So you say, oh, you know what? I need to put on my tracking sheet. So you have to copy this here, put on Excel. You have to copy the link, put it onto Excel. You have to come down here, copy the due date, copy all these here, download all these attachments and upload it back into Excel or put it into Excel somehow. So now you got all this here. It takes you 20, maybe 10 to 15 minutes just to capture the data.
Yeah.
In 3 clicks, you can do the same thing in here and in 3 seconds. So assuming I like this project here, right? If I like this project here, I click on this here and I make sure I'm in the right. Yep. And if I like this project here, I skim through it. Again, at this point here, I'm not making a go or no go decision. I'm just like, do I like this project? And if I like it, I click add to the bid board. Add to the bid board. Boom, I'm done. Did not have to copy, paste, didn't have to do any of those things there. It's in my pipeline now. So the project I just added is right here. This project this is a Sabre Mac IDIQ contract. And then I just put it to my bid board. So now I can track it on my pipeline. I can quickly see how many projects I have, different views in terms of how many projects I have at which stage. I can look at the list view. or I can look at this is called the bid board view or swim lanes, and some people call it the Kanban board. So now if I'm interested in this project, I can just drag it over to scoping. And now it automatically gives me a bid decision matrix. I can answer all these questions here. At the end, it gives me a score, right? It gives me a score, low chance of success. Well, based on this here, you might not want to bid on this project, but assuming I score high, and I can decide to bid on this project here. So this is not a class on how to find opportunities. So I'm not going to go any further, but GovGenie allows you to do so much more, and you can actually manage your teaming partner. You can actually, all the attachments that we talked about, right, comes in here. You can actually manage your proposal writing all in here. So this is what GovGenie will do for you. So yes, you can do it the old way and copy paste, and that's what you want to do. Totally do that. If you want to cook at home every single day of your life, do that. For some of us, every now and then we want to go out and let somebody else cook for us. Treat yourself. All right, so we're down to the last few things, and we got a few quick things to talk about before we wrap up here. So creating a proposal library. You need a proposal library. That's part of what you have to do to scale and grow your company. Every time you submit, you write a proposal. Every time you do something, you add that to your library, and you get better and better over time. And then you need an exit plan. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go deeper into a few things. So capability videos. For those of you who's joining us, I'm going to give you some samples of capability, how to create a capability video. So these are the tools that you need. And so I'm gonna go ahead and copy this here, put it into the chat so that you guys can have this. So these are your bonuses for joining us live. So I'm gonna look at the script first. The videos are exact. In fact, let's look at one of the examples here. And so you guys can see what I mean by a capability video. So this is actually an example of a capability video. So I'm going to share, I'm going to pause and reshare so that you guys can hear the video, the audio on it. Share screen, specific Chrome tab. Yep, here we go. So I'm going to play this. This is an example of a capability video.
Your organization deserves a partner who is responsive, knowledgeable, and fully committed to meeting your construction and facility needs. At Van Duren, that's precisely what you can expect. We specialize in horizontal construction, disaster recovery work, demolition, grading, clearing grubbing, hauling, ash pond, excavation, and site preparation work. We also support vertical construction, renovation, remodeling, construction management, facilities management, engineering, and light commercial construction. We self-perform and can team with partners to provide the most cost-effective solution to meet the needs of the government, industrial, education, healthcare, and enterprise organizations. Our UEI number is M7H2DWG5EU93. Our primary NAICS code is 236220, Construction Management. The following are our other NAICS codes. Our past performances include these organizations: Langley Air Force Base, FEMA, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Fort Gillem, Camp Peary, CIA Training Facility, Army Wastewater Plant, Fort Gregg Adams, formerly Fort Lee, Naval Air Station Oceana, Sheridan at Hartsfield Airport, Fire Station 36 in Atlanta, Fort Story, Fort Monroe, Norfolk Naval Base, and Fort Jackson MEPS. Let us be your solutions partner to help move your construction needs forward.
All right, so that's an example of a capability video. Now, I'm going to show you the script. So the script and the script is in the chat. So if you want a script, this is an example of a script.
I think it also might be easier for people to open if you put each link individually, because some of like on YouTube, it split it up, so it didn't include the full link.
Okay. In fact, let me redo that. So I'm just gonna put the script here, and then you guys can. So this is the script here, and then I'll just use one of the video links so as an example here, so that you guys can use that there. So coming back, let's go into the script here. So actually, if you go to the script itself, the videos are already in here.
Okay. Can you reshare your screen for the script?
Oh, I thought, yep. Let me stop and reshare. Yep. Thanks for reminding me. Go to my entire screen. So this is a script. And now this is an example. So please change it around a little bit so that it's not the same, all the videos not the same, right? So you don't have to say welcome to, your company name. You can change it a little bit. Your partner in forging a path to better IT solutions, or whatever you want to say. You want to add a benefit, right? And then here you want to say our mission is this, and then put in what you're trying to help them solve, right? So it could be a cohesive workplace or whatever. Add your primary NAICS code, your UEI number. And so now that you have all this here, let me give you an example of what the final version looks like. So this is an example of the actual company that I coached them to help them create their video script. So this is the final script. So the final script of the video you guys just saw, this is it right here. Your organization deserves a partner who is responsive, knowledgeable, and fully committed. And yours going to be, again, tweak it to your situation. We specialize in, for you, it might be something else. We support vertical constructions, goes into a little bit more detail. Your UEI number is this here. And then your primary NAICS code. And then, in the video editor, these yellow are notes, right? So I said, hey, follow the NAICS code. The following NAICS code will appear at the same time without audio, no voice reading of each NAICS. And then these are the NAICS code that they listed out. And then add these past performance, right? You guys heard this here. And then the final call to action is this here, at the website link. So this is your script. Now, how do you create it when you're on a tight budget, right? Because some of you are new in business. You're like, how do I create a capable video when I'm on a tight budget? Well, let me show you some techniques. This script here, it was my voice that I use to create the script. Actually, Lainey, you chuckle. Why are you chuckling at that?
Because I never would have guessed that was yours, like your voice.
It is not. It's actually AI. So I use a tool called 11 Labs. You get up to like 10,000 texts a month, I think. 10,000 words a month, I think, for free, or 5,000 a month for free. I might be on the low tier or something like that, because we use it for different marketing tools that we have. So this is an example. And so what I do is I take the script here. I'm just gonna take this first 2 sentences here. I'm gonna go to 11 Labs, and I'm going to change it here. I can change the voices to a lady, or I like Brian. The voice that you heard was Brian. And then I'm going to reshare so that you guys can hear the script here. So this is 11 Labs. The way Google does, I have to share a specific tab so that you guys can hear it. So this is the script. and then I just play it.
Your organization deserves a partner who is responsive, knowledgeable, and fully committed to meeting your construction and facility needs. At Vanderin, that's precisely what you can expect.
So this is the audio, right? So this is, you don't need to, now if you have money, yes, pay a professional person. I'm all about optimizing and reserving resources. So if AI can do it, I can save $300-400 instead of paying a voiceover. Now my wife is a voiceover voiceover professional. So I'm saying this, Sarah. She's like, hey, don't tell people to use AI, but I'm trying to help you guys as a small business. So if you have the budget, use a voiceover professional. If you don't have a budget, use AI, because this short video, if you're going to do something, you can get it done very simple this way. So once you create now there's a few things that's tricky, right? And let me kind of give you an example. Like when you're doing the UEI number here, if you're doing the UEI number, it gets tricky. So you have to really be, you have to break it up. Listen up to the UI here. It's going to be very different.
M7H2 DWG5 EU93.
Right? So it said it too fast. So the way you fix this here is you have to put a comma in here. And you guys will hear how different it is. In fact, I'm going to leave 2 versions in here. And so that you guys can hear the difference between the 2 versions.
I am so intrigued in this. I'm also intrigued in the voice cloning.
Yeah. You can actually clone your voice.
Yeah, so do social media things so you don't have to do 72 voiceover like takes when you mess up or say a word or something.
Okay, so listen to the difference between the 2 here.
M.7 H.2D WG5E U93.
It said it incorrect. But let me get rid of this one. You guys heard this one, so let me just use the one with the comma.
M7H2DWG5EU93.
So now it says it a little bit slower, so it is not slurring all of it together, right? So these are different techniques that as you're doing your script, you have to adjust it and so forth. But once you have your script, what do you do next, right? If you need help, we have a video editor that can create the videos for you. That's who we use to create this video here. I think our video editor charges like $200 for it. Or you can use anybody else. You can go to Fiverr, right? Go to Fiverr and go to
reshare your screen again.
Oh yeah, I mean stop and reshare. Stop and reshare the entire screen. So I'm on Fiverr, and so I can come in here and I can put in here explainer video. And so it's going to give me all these people that will do explainer video. So you can find some that will do it for 200, 300, 600, like $50. But that's animated. For government contracting, I wouldn't recommend using animated video. That's probably not professional enough. Like this one might be, right? $25. So if we look at this one, standard, this is only 15 seconds. So if your video is going to be about 1.5 minutes, right? So about 120 is probably, yeah. So somewhere about 120 is about the right one. So for 105, you can get someone to create a video for you. But they don't understand capability video. So you have to do a lot of guiding for them to do it.
Yeah.
But if you need help, you can use Fiverr, or you can come to GCA. I'll connect you to our video editor. And again, his price is about $200. So we got a lot more to cover. So let's go into We got time for one more item. I was going to talk about three things in detail, but I'm going to go ahead and shift gears and talk about one key thing before we wrap up here. So in our software, we talk about strategies, right? All the techniques that we're sharing with you, these 15 principles, they're actually in here in our software already, where we talked about capability video. All of the content is in here. We talk about capability statement. All of the information is in here. The templates are all attached in here already. All the templates are here. We talked about email marketing, right? Email marketing, email techniques. All the samples are in here. So we have this here so that you can actually makes it easy for you. But one last thing I want to talk about in detail before I share with you what we do to help businesses is this here. In your strategy, you need to have a short-term, long-term strategy. So I'm gonna address it from a long-term perspective. This is the document in here that addresses your long-term strategy. I'm gonna pull it up and talk about your long-term strategy here. So in terms of your short-term strategy, right? How do you win contract fast? But your long-term strategy is how do you scale to become a large company? And that's a very different strategy than your short-term strategy. So one is to consider is you need a joint venture at some point. A joint venture is a new company with another partner, a teaming partner or a large company. If you're teaming and doing a joint venture with a large company, you need to have a mentor project agreement. So that's one long-term strategy. You also need to open an office in the DMV or NCR or Huntsville or Space Coast or close to military base. DMV, remember we talked about learning how to speak Governese, right? DMV, some of you might know that. Some of you might like, what is that? The Department of Motor Vehicle? No, that's not what I'm talking about, right? DMV stands for the DC, Maryland, Virginia contract capital of the world, right? NCR is not the National Cash Register. Governese, it stands for the National Capital Region. So really, a lot of contracting offices are based out of DMV and NCR area. So as you grow and scale your business, you must have a presence in the DMV NCR area, meaning you have to have an office somewhere in Virginia or Maryland, somewhere there close to the contracting people that you're going to be continuously engaging. You need to be a generalist. When you start off, you're a specialist. But to have long-term success, you need to be a generalist. Generalist, you win more contract. In fact, this is probably one of the most important principles that you can learn in terms of a long-term growth strategy. Being a generalist in the commercial market, being a specialist or even an expert or celebrity expert, you make the most money. In the government market, being a generalist, you're going to make the most money. And we actually have a class that goes into really how to practically do this here. Also, you need to choose your exit strategy. Are you building your company to be a legacy corporation, or are you building your company to sell? They both have different approach of how you scale your government contracting business. If you're building it to leave as a legacy to your family or to your children, to somebody, it's a different strategy. If you're building it to sell, you need to have standard operating procedure. You need to have a capture team. You need to have different things, very different approach. And then you also, for long-term, you need to create passive revenue strategy. Government contracting, depending on your industry, your project to project to project. So you need to go after the big IDIQ contract where you get 5-year contracts. So you're not always just hunting, killing all the time to get the next meal. You also need to determine your, what I call the 3 L's, right? Linear, leverage, and longevity equals a legacy company. If you're trying to build a legacy company, you need to have these 3 revenue model here. And linear is transactional, it's project to project. Leverage is leveraging other people's money, other people's time, other people's services, other people's capabilities. Other people's services or product, we call it teaming, right? Leveraging other people's teaming, or you don't have a bench of project managers, but if you have 4 or 5 teaming partners, now you have a bench of project managers that's part of your teaming partners. So learning to leverage. And longevity is how do you create passive and recurrent revenue for your company? So these are very important principles of creating a legacy company. So we covered quite a bit of content today. And again, 15 techniques. Normally, what I'm sharing with you is I'm giving you a scope of 3 years of information in an hour. So it's impossible for me to teach you
Yeah.
all these different principles in a very short period of time. Now, we do have an upcoming class I'm going to share with you. If you want to, if you're interested, I'm going to show you how you can get into our upcoming class so you can really learn these principles and implement it into your business long term. And we have what's called a prep program. And our prep program is really, we call it our prep certification program. This is a brand new program that we're launching, and the first cohort is actually going to be February 24th, and it's coming up in a few weeks. And so, what is the prep program? PREP stands for Procurement Readiness Educational Program, meaning that when you finish the prep program, these are the things that you will walk away with. The 15 things that we talked about, right? You're going to walk away with a completed capability statement. You're going to walk away with knowing how to find your next skill. Now, some of you already have this. In that case, you're going to redesign your capability statement to make it nicer, cleaner, and more beautiful. You're going to create a capability video while you're in the class. You're going to create a capability brief, your PowerPoint presentation. We're going to revamp your website to make sure that it speaks to government buyers. We're going to teach you how to create your Dream 100 and then identify the Dream 100 and create that list and how to find the points of contact, the email, the phone number. We're going to make sure that you're properly registered in the different portal, whether it's the Fed, the SLED. If you qualify for small business certification, we're going to help you get started on your certification. If you have a few, we're going to identify more small business certification to go after. We're going to take you through the email marketing techniques and help you create your templates for that there. Help you develop your capture team and how to source opportunity, how to use tools to help you do that, how to price for your business and to be LPTA, lowest price technically acceptable. That's how you're going to win contract. And what we talked about earlier, right? Funding plan and creating a library and implementing a proper exit strategy. So this is what you're going to walk away with. All these things here will be done. This is an 8-week program. And so in 8 weeks, by the time you finish the 8 weeks, this is what you're going to walk away with. Now, not everything will be fully complete, like certification, right? You're going to start your certifications and then you'll continue to come back and work with us until you've obtained your certification. But the program that you start on your certification is 8 weeks, because the certification might take you 6 months or 9 months before the government respond back as, oh, you've been approved. So this is the program. I'm going to put this here in the chat if you are interested in learning more about this program here. So this is how you can scale or start your government contracting business by enrolling in this program here. Now, some of you're a little bit mature for this program. Some of you you need to focus on marketing and other areas, and you may be further along. This program is ideal for brand new companies starting or existing businesses that haven't, that have not won contract. You're trying to figure out, why is it that I haven't won contracts? Well, it's because you're not procurement ready. Being procurement ready is really what you need to do to be successful. And so click on the link. This program, there is an investment for this program here. The program is $5,000, but for all of you who's joining us, join the community. We have a community. It's called the GovCon community. And by just joining the community, you get a $2,000 discount. And so the program is only $3,000. If you need to do a payment plan, you can do that as well. If you click on this, it will give you the options of a month, 3 monthly payments, or you can do a one-time payment. So that's how the program works. With that, I'm going to open up for any final questions and comments. And then, Lane, you have any comments before we wrap up here?
Yeah, so please put any questions you have for Abe before we head off for the week. I did want to tell everybody to please join us next week, and it's going to be for nonprofits, but I think this is going to be great for anybody in the contracting world as well. It's how to benchmark your competitors in the nonprofit industry. So we're going to be really diving in at how to the power of research and positioning yourself for the funding success. So we're going to be kind of diving into those how-tos on researching, looking at 990s, all of that. And I'm actually going to put the link in the chat. So if you're not already registered, you can go ahead and do that so you don't miss that coming up next week. We haven't had any questions come through, but let's give them a couple more minutes just in case it's lagging.
Yeah, if you have any questions, this is what we've got time for, a few questions about anything we've covered today. And before we wrap up here. Okay, last call for questions. If not, if you're watching this on replay, leave a comment. We always check all of the comments to answer questions. If you're joining us live, thank you for joining us live. Hopefully you got a lot of good value out of here. We gave you some great freebies during this session here. And then check out the upcoming class, because it's going to help your business to get procurement ready. That's how you're going to succeed in the government contracting marketplace. So with that, great hang out with you, Lainey, and all of you who's joining us live. Thank you for hanging out with us. And we're going to wrap up today's episode in terms of the grants and government contracts podcast here. Until next week, same time, every Wednesday, 11:30 Eastern time. And we will see you then.
Yes, and remember, you are only one grant away and
one contract away from all your goals, from the next employee that you need, from the car that you want, the house that you want. One contract, one grant away. Take care, everybody.
Yes.